Well, good Taco Tuesday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. It's one of those days, man, back to life, back to reality, back to going down the road. Got to make a trip down the country here, take care of some business, and get my ass back home because we got more work to do in the workshop. And we are literally now talking about
playoffs. Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about playoffs, Jim. I know that, this is exactly what happened on Sunday.
Well, what happened was that second game, we got our ass kicked. Or the second half, we just got our ass totally kicked. We couldn't do diddly poo offensively. We couldn't make a first down. We couldn't run the ball. We didn't try to run the ball. We couldn't complete a pass. We sucked. The second half, we sucked. We couldn't stop the run. Every time they got the ball, they went down and got points. We got our ass totally kicked in the second half. That's what it boiled down to. It was a horse performance in the second half. Horse. I'm totally embarrassed and totally ashamed. Coaching did a horrible job. The players did a horrible job. We got our ass kicked in that second half. It sucked. It stunk.
Okay. Hard to disagree with that. That seems to be the case. But now, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter what happened on Sunday. But now you start to think about this for a second. I believe we only had like 2 or 3 play actions, and we went in motion like 2 or 3 times. We did a completely vanilla offense. We hear from Dan Quinn that they were trying players in different situations to see what they could develop by playoff time. So maybe the Cowboys were looking and thinking we were, got no chance of getting this number 1 seed, really. I mean, let's be rational. The Eagles, I say, played a soft schedule. I'm not going to lie and say that they were, kingmakers or anything like that. And they struggled in some of their games. They lost to the same team, the Commanders, that we did. So the Commanders, quite frankly, they kind of wet the bed themselves on their season, going back to Carson Wentz. Maybe had they gone to Sam Howell or kept Tyler Heineke, they would be in the playoffs instead of the Seattle Seahawks, and we would have made history having the whole division in the playoffs. But be that as it may, it is what it is. And now it's time to move on to Tom Brady. Tom Brady, who has defied. Why did that not sound right? Defied Father Time and has been playing like Tom Brady. Hasn't had the horses or maybe the coaching that he's had in past seasons, but he's still Tom Brady. And they have been playing good enough in their division, which is not a strong division, to win. And, sometimes in life, to move on, you have to face your biggest fears and win and beat them. If you don't, you'll forever just fall by the wayside. You've got to face your biggest fears. And Tom Brady is truly your biggest fear. Because what happens when you finally get over that hump, everything changes. Understand, I do this now really easily, talking in front of people. But I remember when I used to be on the Benet Emery show, and we went to Tyler, Texas, to be on Good Morning Tyler on television. Forgive me, I mess up people's names. I get them wrong because it's the dyslexia. A lot of times I will see something that looks one way, and it's backwards or it's not quite right. I'll see brothers and it's bothers. and things like that, and pronouncing names. I used to have a bit of a lisp, and I used to stutter. And when I would get in front of people, more than 3 or 4 people, my tongue would get tied. I couldn't speak. My heart would start racing. If it was school and I had to do a speech, maybe it was a 10-minute long speech when I wrote it and practiced it, I would get so nervous that I would rush through it and it'd be 2 minutes long. They'd say, that's not long enough speech. But it was because of that trip to Tyler, Texas, that I'm sitting here in the green room thinking I'm going to be on television, and my heart's racing. I feel like I'm sweating. And my fears are I'm going to just look like a freaking idiot. But then I saw a CPR dummy, and a person was coming in to show how you do CPR. Then I saw some clowns. Then I realized these are just other people here to have a conversation. And I faced those fears. And from that moment on, when I broke through the wall, it ended up being easier. I had taken a major step. And that, my friends, is what the Dallas Cowboys have to do. They finally have to beat Tom Brady. They don't. They will forever be the same team that's stuck in this, we have a decent season and we get to the playoffs and we don't have the confidence in things. If the Cowboys beat Tampa Bay, watch out, NFL. Now, for the rest of the NFL, NFC East, the NFC, arguably you've got the best 2 quarterbacks playing against each other. And you've got the GOAT on one side of the field. If the Cowboys can knock out Tampa Bay, you start looking at this, you've got your Jalen Hurts, you've got your Brock Purdy's, you've got your Kirk Cousins, and you got Dak Prescott there and Daniel Jones, and you start looking and saying, maybe we got an advantage there. But let's not look ahead. Let's get the mojo going for our crew. Let's get behind them, and let's believe in them. One last revisit of Sunday.
I gave your Cowboys the props that they deserved and said the entire time that Cooper Rush was keeping the ship not only afloat, but right down the center of the playoff canal. And his stint as quarterback is what's keeping them in the playoffs, pretty much. Because if he didn't perform very well, Cooper Rush, they might have They might have been part of this 9-8 trio of teams that were involved in that 7th seed. But be that as it may, they're the 5 seed. But going into these playoffs, with that performance yesterday, they looked completely
awful,
disinterested.
Terrible.
They looked completely out of it.
Trash.
And I am not going to sit here and say that's Mike McCarthy's fault. I am not going to say that. I'm not going to say that either. Mike McCarthy said
muff a punt.
He made a decision. I'm going to play my guys. Now, you could sit here and say that wasn't a great decision, or you're going to potentially get them injured. But the Cowboys have constantly done that. I don't know if that comes from the Jerry Jones top or what. Don't you remember Jason Garrett threw DeMarco Murray in a game where he had his hand surgically repaired, and he ran it like 90 times? I think against the Jaguars once. It was really, and you're sitting there, what are you doing? Yeah. So I'm kind of used to that with the Dallas Cowboys, but he put him in there, and he put him in there. Another reason why maybe is because this is one, maybe it's old school stuff, but Dallas, Washington, when we grew up, I mean, it was literally Cowboys and Indians, okay? And so, well, figuratively, I think you get my point. But now it's Cowboys and Commanders. But when you go into their stadium and they just, are still cleaning up the bed from the previous week against the Browns, I mean, it's tougher to imagine a tougher week for the Commanders than, all right, we're going to start Carson Wentz instead of the guy that the team completely rallied around all year long and gave us a shot at the playoffs. We're going to bench that guy and put Carson Wentz back in because he had a really good second half against San Francisco. And we're going to just totally forget what Carson Wentz did previous in that year, this year, or anywhere else over the last 4 or 5 years. We're just going to go do that. And then the coach is going to be like, what do you mean we could be eliminated? Really? And then on that day, we're going to unveil a new mascot that that's a hog that the original hogs may still sue us over. Like, this is what we're going to do.
That's what we're going to do.
And get eliminated anyway from the playoffs. And then go ahead and announce we're starting our rookie. It's tougher to imagine a tougher week for the home team. You should go in and beat the you-know-what out of them and say, we're going into the playoffs. We're the Dallas Cowboys, and here we come, Tom Brady. Or here we come, 2 seed or 1 seed. And after a while, we'll look at the scoreboard and realize that's it. But we're playing for pride. You saw what the Lions did last night. They had nothing to play for. The Dallas Cowboys had everything to show.
Did they? Did they really, though?
Now, can they go ahead and flip a switch and go on a Super Bowl run? Absolutely they can. There's no question they can.
What gives you...
But they can.
What makes you think that they can do that?
Because it's football, and these things are crazier things can happen. Like the best team potentially coming in with the largest head of steam in the entire NFC is quarterbacked by the guy who got picked last year's draft.
Look, based upon what I saw, not to interrupt you.
No, good. I get it.
You're
the Cowboy fan. I know.
You know, I don't dislike very many things more than I dislike the NFC East. To show up like that against the Washington football, no-show. That was. I can't even say what I want to say without getting beeped here. But like, no, this team is just. They are who we think they are. Let's put it that way.
What do you need to win a playoff game? You need to go on the road, and what Warren Sapp would always say, you need to pack your defense, and you need to go ahead and give your offense a chance to win it. Pack your defense. Defense doesn't win championships anymore. They give you a chance. And what they can do is give you that chance. They've got playmakers all over the lot, and they got playmakers all over the lot on offense. And for some reason, and you could blame it on the coach that way too, but yesterday, McCarthy's like, you go play. Go ahead. Let's go. And they were just like totally disinterested.
Yeah.
And if they do that again in a playoff game against Tom Brady, they will be one and done. And then I think the coach will take the blame for it. That's it. They will. And certainly if they love Dan Quinn so much there and the Broncos are knocking on the door for him again, this decision could be made literally a week from tomorrow, a week from Tuesday. If they show up and just get totally curb stomped by Tom Brady in the same way that, wait for it, Sam Howell just did. And he's got some ability. That one throw that he threw to Terry McLaurin, I mean, and then he could run it into. Good for the Commanders. They should have turned him sooner, maybe. I don't know. Well, or if you didn't like Heineke, give it to the kid.
Yeah, they
I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Wentz.
That's 2020 hindsight.
Yeah.
They should have stuck with Heineke.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they went with Howell. Good. What a great way to finish.
Yeah, great way to finish.
Time? I'll throw it out there. I know it's not the same thing. Didn't the Chiefs one day just say, we'll give a little beak wedding to our kid, in week 17 at the time on the road. This is at home.
And that changes everything.
All right. Look, that was so wildly disappointing and consistent with their total inconsistency. And the only thing you can hang your cowboy hat on, Cowboys fans, is that for some reason this team seems to only respond when it's like, okay, Cowboys, it's a major test.
Yeah.
Okay, Cowboys, it's time for you to show us against a team that we know can beat you. They respond to that.
Well,
They respond to that more often than not. Well, guess what? It's one and done time now, and they're going to spend all week long hearing stuff like this. We'll see how they respond.
we'll see how they respond. You know what? I feel good going into this game. I'm not going to be here, woe is me, and anything else. I am going to accentuate the positive. And the fact that my team is where nobody, as far as the talking heads, thought they would be, I'm not going to listen to them now and think that they know everything about the Cowboys. They have thrown dirt on us many, many times and told us that we were ass, that Mike McCarthy sucks as a coach. Dak Prescott can't get it done. The team is just ass. But here they are in the playoffs. So, yeah, I kind of like it when they don't think we're going to do something. Because that, my friends, is when they do something. All right, good people, you know how we roll. I got to get on the road here, got to take care of business. The work never ends, and so I got to keep hitting it. Be good today, be safe, and I'll see you later.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Sports Report.